Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm having to use a couple of different methods of recording today. Camera issues. I promise you there's a new one on the way. Anyway, today I'm going to make two recipes with you. I want to share with you simple chicken wings that are really crispy and full of flavor, and they are baked in the oven rather than being deep fried. And I'd also like to share with you a recipe for homemade ranch dressing. And we'll make the ranch dressing powder, and then we'll add the mayonnaise and buttermilk to it to make it a wonderful dip for our crispy oven-baked chicken wings. So I'll gather up the ingredients for the first part, and then I'll be right back. Now, I'm not sure what happened there, but let me catch you up. We've missed something. So I took a package of small chicken wings and I pat them really, really dry. You need them to be super dry because the idea of having a chicken wing where the fat isn't rendered properly is not appetizing to me. So in order to do that, we need to draw as much of the fat and the moisture out of the wing as we possibly can. So I pat them dry really well with paper towel. I want to get all of the excess moisture off. And especially do this if you have rinsed your chicken wings, because a lot of people prefer to rinse their chicken. So if you've rinsed your chicken, then you need to make sure that it is entirely dry. I use paper towels or kitchen towels, but you can use whatever method works best for you. Once you've done that and got them really good and dry, set them aside and catch up with me. Now I've washed my hands and I'm going to go back to work on the coating for this chicken. And there's not much to it. This might seem like an odd ingredient, but this is important. The baking powder, make sure it's baking powder and not baking soda. So baking powder will dry out the chicken fat, and that's what we're after. So it absorbs all the moisture, it holds it outside away from the chicken. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and I'm just putting it in a big kitchen bag. I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of salt. And you could stop right there if you wanted to have it really plain. I'm going to add a little flavor into it at this time. Now, not all the flavoring has to be put into it right now. You can add flavoring later by making different kinds of sauces, or like honey mustard or whatever, to roll your wings in when they come out of the oven. And when they come out of the oven, it's the perfect time to do it because they're hot, and as they cool, they'll absorb the wet mixtures. So I've added a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder to this bag. I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake. And now I'm going to add all of these chicken wings kind of unceremoniously all at once into the bag. And this recipe is so easy. If you're doing like a game day meal, or you've been asked to bring something to a potluck, this works great for that because they hold pretty well. So I'm just going to squeeze some of the air out, and then I'm going to work this around. And I want to get every wing covered with some of our mixture. So you just keep working it until you have that happen. think we're in good shape here. Yes. So I've taken a sheet pan and I've lined it with a piece of parchment paper. Not because we're going to set the chicken on there, we're not. We're going to put it on here. So I'm going to put my wire rack over top of my sheet tray. Now, it serves a couple purposes. The main one being that the chicken wings are being surrounded by hot air instead of just either on the bottom a lot and the top a little, or the other way around. So the rack is important. And now I'm going to dump these out onto the rack, and I'm going to lay them out nicely. And try to leave just a little bit of room between each one. You can decide whether you're going to do all drums, all wings, the way you're going to do them. And I have the oven preheating. It's preheated actually to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And now, depending on how big your wings are, they could be in the oven, for around 40 minutes or an hour. We're going to put these in to start with. I think we'll put them in for a total of 35 minutes. Halfway through the 35 minutes, I'm going to turn them. If it looks like because again, they're all different sizes, so you really have to pay attention. If I think that they're cooked at the 35-minute mark, then I am definitely going to stop the process, get them out of the oven, and I'll be back to show you what they look like. If they look like they need a little bit more time, I'll let you know that at the end. So I'm going to put these in the oven, and then I'm going to bring you back, and we're going to make homemade ranch dressing from our homemade powder, which I'm going to show you how to make right after this. Now I think I have everything we need for the next recipe, and for that I had to go to my radio book, and I did a video series. My very first video that I ever did for YouTube included these dry mixes, and so I had to go back and have a look because it's not something I make all the time. So I needed the recipe out. In my poor ratty book, I went through a lot of pages before I found the right one. I really did have to get this organized. So into my container, and I use this container with a lid that says ranch dressing. And in order to make it, you need 2 tablespoons of I'll tell you that after. Ranch dressing. So the first ingredient is powdered milk. I have this instant skim milk powder, and I need a 1/2 cup. That's the base for it. Let's see if I can get this to close. I usually have problems with it. I'm going to have problems today too. Some companies do a much better job of closures for their ingredients than others. And maybe I cut it off. And then I need some dill weed. I need a teaspoon of dill weed, which really adds to this. So I'm actually giving it a little more than it calls for. I need 2 tablespoons of parsley, and I just have dried parsley for this because you want it to keep over the long term, so dry is best. And 2 tablespoons, and a teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of garlic powder, and I have some minced onion, but all I have for minced onion dried is the red onion. So it looks a little funny, but I'm going to put it in anyway. And I need a teaspoon of that. I didn't realize I was out of regular minced onion. And I need some black pepper, a half a teaspoon. And I need a couple of other ingredients I'm just gonna grab. Woo! And we'll get back to. It calls for a teaspoon of brown sugar, which I had to go to the cupboard for. It might be a little more than I needed. A half a teaspoon of salt. And it calls for a half a teaspoon of celery salt, and I don't have any celery salt. So I'm gonna add another half teaspoon of regular salt. And I'm gonna add a quarter of a teaspoon of celery seed. And there's our mix. Now I'm gonna give this a good stir. I wanna make sure that the brown sugar gets mixed in well, because it's still a little moist and everything else is dry. So in order to make up our dressing, our ranch dressing, we just need to put together a few ingredients. We have, we have our mixture made up, our dry mix. We need 2 heaping spoonsful. 1, 2. And that's just into a measuring cup or a bowl, whatever you find the easiest to use. And we need a cup of mayonnaise. I'm using Miracle Whip, but you use whatever your family enjoys most. You could even make your own mayonnaise too. So, lots of things that we can do that we don't know that we can do that are really inexpensive and better for us, because there's not a bunch of preservatives in them when we make them homemade. Just means we have to be a little more diligent about using them faster. So this goes into the dry mix inside the measuring cup. And then I'm going to add 1 cup of buttermilk. Now this would be buttermilk ranch dressing at this point. You could use regular milk at this point, or half and half, or something along that line, if you wanted it to be richer. I enjoy buttermilk in my recipes, and I enjoy drinking it, which is kind of an old-fashioned thing that lots of people don't do anymore. Set that aside, and then we're going to stir this really well, and I'm going to put it into a container and into the fridge to let it sit while the wings are in the oven. As long as they're in there doing their thing, then this might as well be in the fridge doing its thing. And with these 2 simple recipes, you're going to be really impressed, I think, with the result. I feel like a whisk is necessary right now. I might change my mind at the moment. Whoa! At the moment, I feel like this is the right tool for the job. Maybe just not beating the daylights out of it the way I was trying. Okay, now, nice and thick. Got it mixed pretty good. I'm going to use a spoon to make sure that I got all the way to the bottom and turned everything, because the whisk isn't necessarily going to reach the corners. So I have a mason jar that I know will hold these 2 cups. And this is how I store it in the fridge. Just in a mason jar. If you're going to store it in the fridge and you don't think you're going to use it up in the next day or 2, then it's a good idea to write on the lid the date for that and put it into the fridge so that it doesn't get past dated for you. And there you go. I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I will bring you back when I have those wings out of the oven. So I just got these beautiful, I don't know, can you hear them? How crispy they are. These little chicken wings out of the oven. And I'm just going to toss them kind of unceremoniously onto a plate. You could definitely take your time and arrange them all facing one way or the other. But I don't have the time to do that at the moment. So I am going to throw them on a plate. I'm going to add some of our homemade ranch dressing. And I think that you can recognize that this would be quite a feast for any one of your occasions where you needed to bring something along, or whether you were looking for a sporting event or something along that line where you had to bring a dish. This would be a great dish to bring for that. So I hope you've enjoyed these recipes today, and if you have, that you consider subscribing to the channel. Give it a like. I enjoy your comments, so although I don't always get back to all of you, I do read all the comments and I appreciate everything that you have to say. And I will put all the recipes in the description box below so you don't have to keep stopping the TV. And I will see you again real soon, folks. Thank you very much.